and welcome back to another episode of the Iceberg Theory podcast. My guest today is Taranjeet Kaur Chauhan, a powerful name in the space of image consulting. She has been recognized with multiple awards, including the East India's Women Award. Hi, Taranjeet. Welcome to the Iceberg Theory podcast. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, Neetu, for having me over here.
What we are going to explore is about identity and self presentation, which goes beyond the clothes and the grooming that, is often misunderstood as. And we're going to go into how this actually influences the confidence, success, and the perception and a deep personal transformation that people experience. And who better to have you than on our podcast today, an image consultant with vast experience. And let's get started. So let's start with the first obvious question about you being an image consultant and how people perceive what you do and what you don't do. Please share us what's the biggest misconception about an image consultant?
Okay, that's a very nice question. A lot of people don't know about it. So, the biggest misconception about an image consultant is that image consulting is only for actors or maybe politicians. It's not for everybody. So, the biggest misconception about image consulting is it's not for me, it's for others. The second misconception about image consulting is that people think that it's too expensive.
Thank you for sharing that, Taranjeet. Tell me something, since you work in this space for a very long time. How does self-perception and societal pressure, how does this shape the way we present ourselves?
Okay. So talking of self perception is all about self image and also your self esteem. So when we talk about self image, today if I ask you if you're standing in front of the mirror, how do you see yourself? Who are you? What are your values? How do you identify as? You
Yeah.
know? So there are so many times that people they do not have a positive self image about themselves. So every time they're very conscious, they're very critical about their own image, how they look, how they feel, how they present themselves, right? And this starts from the very beginning when a child is born. So when a child is born, the child has no concept about their body, they have no concept about the image. So that's where the society comes in the picture, right?
Right.
We say it takes a village for a child to grow, right? So here
Yeah.
it's not only the parents, but also the entire society, which is putting a kind of perception in front of the child. Now, a lot of times when a child is born, either the child is very thin or, it's little on the bigger side. So people start calling them by names like Motu hai, Chotu hai, Patla hai, so these
Right.
might sound very cute or very okay when the child is born and they are growing. However, we don't know what kind of picture are you putting it in their mind. So now when they are growing up, they are getting more and more conscious about their body, which is directly impacting their image about themselves. The self esteem. Now, when we talk about the self esteem, it's all about how you value yourself. What is your worth? So that's where everything is interlinked. It gets affected. Now, also talking about the society, the kind of picture and image that they have created. Now, talking about the actors, right?
Yeah.
Male, it's like the built up, the height, right? For
Yeah.
female, it's how thin they are, right? So, people, and even in the magazines, if you see, like the models, the kind of models they are there, the pictures, the artificial Botox and everything that they have done. So, when a child is growing up, they grow up with this picture and they start comparing themselves with those celebrities or those people who are out there. There's so much of editing that goes into it.
Yes.
However, for the kids, it's like a standard has been set, right?
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
glad that a lot of people are getting more aware. That's where the oversized models are also coming in, right? Now,
Right.
people are also coming on social media and, talking about the surgeries if they've gone under knives. They're talking about,
Yeah.
they're telling very openly that this is not natural. Our work requires this and we are doing it. But this is the kind of society that we have, and we are raising our children in this. which directly or indirectly impacts their self-image, which impacts their self-perception, which impacts their self-esteem and their confidence.
Absolutely. I agree with you, and I'm glad you brought up the point of how childhood really impacts the way we see ourselves. Something that comes to my mind is when we look around, when children get dressed up, when girls dress up in a very fancy, maybe a frock or a gown, the first thing people mention is, "Oh, you look so beautiful." So then
Yes.
they start associating dressing up in a fancy thing makes them look beautiful. On the contrary, it's how you feel from inside is what should be the focus. But I think as
Yeah.
parents, as grown-ups, we go into that zone of the moment somebody is dressed up, the compliment we give them is beautiful. And that gets associated with somewhere, you know, confidence for them. So when they look beautiful, the exterior, they start feeling confident. Now, this is where I have my next question for you. What are the common mistakes people do when they're trying to look confident?
When they try to look confident, there is a misalignment. If
Right.
you're trying to look something, but in within you're not feeling confident, then people through your body language, through your expressions, and the way you're acting and talking, people are going to get
Right.
that feeling they're going to get, the vibe they're going to capture, that there's something misalignment. If a person is trying to look confident, however, they don't feel confident within, that is going to showcase. Yes. And I would also like to bring to your notice and people who are listening to this. So, clothes and grooming does play a vital role in bringing in the confidence. It is actually related, and there's a scientific experiment which has happened. Two groups of people were there, and they were handed one group of people were handed white coats, and the other group of people were in their casuals. So now, and they, of course, the experiment is going on, they don't know what's happening with them, right? So now they were given some cognitive things to work on, papers to work on. So what people noticed is the ones who were wearing that white coat, they actually performed really well. Cognitive wise, they performed really well, and the ones who had wearing the casual clothes, they were okay, their results were okay. Now again, they repeated the experiment with again two sets of groups of people, where one again, both of them were given white coats. However, one were told that this coat belonged to the doctors, and the second coat belongs to the painters. So here also they saw that there was a difference in their cognitive ability. So that's when the research came. It's called enclothed cognition. So if you're wearing your formals, why do people say wear your formals, dress up properly, go appropriately to the offices? Because that has a direct impact on how you're thinking and how you're working cognitive wise.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that study because, there was something similar that I also read about. Study spoke about, people wearing a certain perfume on themselves. And they were managers actually working in corporates and they were split into two rooms. One set of managers were asked to wear some nice perfume on themselves. The others were just sitting as is, and the difference in the confidence, the way they spoke was very evident. And that's what studies also mention that, when you are presentable, including how you smell, it's not about what luxury item you're using on you, but how you smell makes a lot of difference of how you start talking. Because there's this misconception, we all know that it's okay, I'm a casual person and this is how I am,
Yeah.
but how it gets perceived and how it reflects in your own presentation of your own work goes a long way. So, Taranjeet, in your work, how do you help someone build or rather bridge that gap between what they feel inside and how they show up? For example, someone might tell you that I'm not stylish enough. I cannot carry this. I'm not confident enough to carry a certain look. How would you work with the client in this space?
What I do, Nitu, is that again, the first thing that we start is from the self awareness and asking questions. to understand what they have been through, what their challenges are, and to understand it better. Then what I do is we do the evaluation, right? So here I would like to ask, like I ask them questions like, why don't they feel comfortable? Have they tried wearing it before or not? Right? Or is there any instance that has happened in the past which has affected their thinking about themselves right now or not? Right? So starting from the self-awareness and asking them questions, I move slowly towards understanding their lifestyle, because lifestyle also impacts a lot. So I understand their lifestyle, what role they play, and also understanding the goals, what they
Yeah.
would like to achieve in life, what would they want to do, and then understanding what their personal style is. So each person has their own personal style, the kind
Yeah.
of clothes, the kind of colors, the kind of shapes that they are comfortable carrying and wearing. So what I do is I help them identify their personal style, and we take it stepwise, right?
Yeah.
Now, for example, I'll give you my example. I was one person, if you had opened my closet, you would only find black color and white color, just black and white. So wherever I would go, I would only feel comfortable wearing black and white. So
Yeah.
over the period of time, I started experimenting with colors, and today, see, I'm sitting here with this bold color, right?
Yeah.
And what happens is I also took it stepwise. So maybe instead of giving a complete blazer, for example, I will tell them, okay, you want to try with colors, let's try with the accessories. Or maybe I'll add color in the scarf, or maybe some other things that they're carrying or wearing. So once they start getting comfortable, I keep on introducing, but again, keeping the personal style scale in mind.
Yeah.
Because if I overshoot that, a person anyway is not going to feel confident in those clothes, and that impacts.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, there's a question that comes to my mind. As an image consultant, you have the expertise, you identify my style, and you tell me, okay, this is where I could change. But what's that one thing that I can do to know what is my style? Can you share some tips for our listeners? In simple terms, if I have to open my wardrobe and understand what is my style, what are the steps that I can take?
So the kind of clothes you have been buying is as per your style only. There are
Hmm.
times you don't know. So, once you open, there would be so many people who are listening also, they would agree. There are so many clothes that they have bought, right? Because they have seen somebody else wearing it. And they'll be
Yes.
like, okay, even I want to buy it. Let me also try. And they keep it, like they buy it, thinking, okay, I'm going to try and wear it. However, it's sitting there in in the closet.
Yes.
Some of them did not even take out the tags, right? It's only because that's not your style. And
Yeah.
that's why you're not comfortable wearing it. You might like it on others. However, you are not. So when you're talking about this, there are six categories. That for that we have to get into technicality. But the
Hmm.
kind of style that you want to understand as a layman person, so you open your wardrobe and see what are the clothes that you usually wear. What are the
Hmm.
kind of clothes, the textures, the colors that you've been wearing? So that means you are comfortable with those colors and textures. So there are a lot of people, what they do is when they have to go for something important, maybe a meeting or an event, they buy new clothes and they wear it. And on that day, they feel conscious. I would suggest is if you're buying something, also wear it once or twice so that you get comfortable in that clothes. So the
Yeah.
next time when you're walking out, you're not thinking about, oh, how am I looking? Is this fitting me well? Is it suiting me or not? Rather than keeping your mind there, you're thinking about, okay, who should I go and meet? How do I introduce myself? So these
Yeah.
are the things. And when talking about this, I don't only help them to style their clothes, or it's not only about the clothes and the outer image, right? It's more on how also you communicate with the other person. But when I help my client, it's about A, B, C, D, and E as well. So A is the appearance bit, where you have your first impressions, your clothing, your grooming, everything. And B is your behavior and body language that we help with. And C is how you communicating. A person might be well dressed, looking impeccable, walks inside. Oh my God, the first impression is very good. But the moment they open their mouth, everything changes. So
Yeah.
we work on a very holistic way. So when I work with my client, it's not helping them with only the clothes, but also their body language, behavior, their communication. And these days, digital presence is something which is very important.
Since you spoke about working on the ABCD of your client, can you share any transformational story that you have that might help our listeners understand what exactly you're talking about?
So, Nitu, glad that you asked that question because there's a client of mine. When you ask, there's so many people that I've worked with, but particularly this one client, she was very conscious about her body image, her body. She's short, she's petite. However, the kind of role that she has is she has to look approachable, but at the same time authoritative. And because of her height and because of her body shape, a lot of people don't take her seriously, right? And then she was getting into a role of an entrepreneur. She was launching her own company. So that's when she approached me and she said that, Tarun, I need help with this. And what happened was she would get very conscious when she had to speak to somebody. With friends, with family members, she'll be very nice and comfortable. However, going and introducing herself and talking to the other person was something she would face a challenge because, again, the body image and the self image plays a very vital role when it comes to communication as well. So first what I did is we did quite a few sessions together to identify what exactly the challenges were, and after that I identified that it again started from the childhood when people would tease her, relatives would tease her, and that actually got imbibed in her subconscious mind, because of which her self image was really low. And now the kind of role she was in, she had to present herself better. So from there we started, worked on her personal style, identified her personal style. Now when we talk about authority, your clothes carry messages, right? So what kind of colors you're wearing, what textures you're wearing, what kind of shapes you're wearing, that also impacts in the entire communication. So we identified that. I gave her clothing because I need to keep the structure also in mind. I cannot
Mm,
give her something very boxy, which is going to look out of place. I cannot give her something very bold because then it will not match with her body image also, her body
yeah.
shape. So accordingly, we worked on that. First, I helped her with the appearance bit. Then I covered the body language bit. The way you're walking, the way you're seeing other person, the way you're carrying yourself, the way you're sitting. Also, dining etiquette plays a vital role in this. Then we worked on the communication bit. And automatically when I was working on this, I told her that, listen, next time whenever we are sitting for a session, I don't want you to be sitting in your home clothes. I want you to be actually professionally dressed because that's when I'll see your confidence coming up on it. And it actually helped. Not only about the sessions. If you have to do something, you need to practice as well.
Yes.
And talking about digital presence, now she had opened her LinkedIn profile and she had to be present there, right? And connect with people. She had to start making videos and shooting videos. So, one of the techniques that I help people with is you need to shoot a video and audio. And later, what you have to do is you have to again review it. You have to see yourself with the
Yeah.
audio and video. The second step is you just look at yourself and just not listen to anything. The audio will be shut. Then you observe your body language, your expressions, your hand gestures, your movements, everything. And then what you do is you switch off the video and only hear the audio
Mm,
and see that is the tone okay, the volume okay, the pitch okay, the words that you're emphasizing on, is that perfect? Or what is the conversation? So this has to be congruent. It has to be
yeah.
in harmony. So these are the exercises. I can help you do it right now, but then at the end of the day, you have to sit and you have to practice because you have to go face the world. So this really helped her. And today, when I see her posts, today, when I see her videos online, and we are still in touch and we've become good friends over the period of time. So I'm really proud of her.
And thank you for sharing that great story. Some of the things that stood out for me was when you mentioned that when she came for your consulting sessions, dress well and come, don't show up in your home clothes. This brings me to that memory of working during COVID. And I think 90% of the world who had I would say the luxury to work from home and switch on their Zoom, most of them would all be in their pajamas or
Yeah.
the casual wear, because there was no hard and fast rule to show up in a formal wear. And that, while it worked well during the COVID time because there was so much stress around, but it also created that, I would say, a bit of for lack of words, a very casual attitude for work,
True,
um,
very true.
because you're not dressed for your work. And one of the things that I experienced during COVID was when my motivation started dropping, working online, working from home for months together. Um,
Mhm.
and one of the things that made a difference was when I stopped wearing home clothes when working from home. I chalked out a smaller part of my work wardrobe to wear at home because, of course, I didn't want to wear all of them while just sitting at home, but
Absolutely.
created a smaller version of my office wardrobe so that I can wear it when my work starts and take it off when I log off. So that brought that bit of seriousness, and I could very well relate to what you mentioned. The second thing that stayed with me is when you spoke about the digital presence. And this is so insightful for anybody who's listening to us today, because all of us, in some form or the other, have a digital presence. For people who are creating work on social media, it becomes so critical. And the points that you mentioned, that, record it without the video, listen to your own sound, see, is there a difference? Are you actually being showing up the same way when you're on camera and when you're off camera? Those are some great insights, and loved listening to those. And I'm sure our listeners also got a lot to really work on, so they don't need to go out immediately, hire an image consultant to know how they are showing up on a
Exactly.
digital media, but they can do these little things to see, okay, is there a mismatch? If yes, then how can they work on it?
Absolutely. And also, one thing we have to, when we talk about digital presence, this has happened with me, and I want to share a personal experience with you.
Sure.
So, there was one person when I would scroll the Instagram, oh my God, I was in awe of that person. Like, wow, the way she was dressed, the way she would carry herself, the way she would shoot the videos and all, how presentable she is. And when I got the chance to meet her, I was taken aback. The kind of words she was using, the kind of way she was talking in, and when somebody talks and shares something with you, you get to understand. And I'm like, this person is a completely different person than what I saw on Instagram. I mean,
Yeah.
who is she? I don't know this person. I know some other person. So when we talk about digital presence, it is very important to for us to project who we are and be exactly the same on digital media. It's not about you are something else and you're trying to project something else. One day
Absolutely.
people will get to know that you're not authentic.
Yeah. Yeah, authenticity goes a long way.
Yes. And if you are authentic, people are going to relate with you. People are
Yeah.
going to understand you, and that's where the trust comes in the picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So, I would suggest this to every listeners who are listening. Of course, you don't need image, like everybody needs image consultant, but you don't need it if you're doing the work on yourself, because that's what they are there for. They help you
Yeah.
because you're not being able to help yourself. But one thing, if you're being able to self reflect, you've been able to ask yourself questions, and you've been able to deep dive and reflect, of course, you don't need anybody.
Yeah.
And knowledge is everywhere. All you need to do is practice.
Absolutely. Yes. like you rightly said, there's so much out freely available for people to really explore and then see and try it on them and see, is this working? Now, since we are talking about this, I'm going to bring up a very contradictory question to what I asked you at the start. So, the start, we mentioned that working on your inner self shows, you know, on the outside as well, right? And that's what we believe in the coaching space as well, that you work on your inner self, it starts reflecting on, how you show up in the world. But the other side to it, which I personally also very strongly believe, is that when you start working on your exterior, it really impacts the way you look at yourself.
Absolutely.
Do you want to throw some light from your experience as to how working on your exterior self, staying authentic, definitely that's the bottom line, being authentic, but working on your external appearance, how does this impact the way you feel within?
So, Nitu, I would like to throw a question to you.
Sure.
Do you attend weddings and do you go for weddings?
Oh yeah, I love them.
Yeah, you love doing that. So during the wedding time, do you love dressing up?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And when you dress up, you groom, you do your makeup, you do your hair, how do you feel inside?
I feel very good about myself.
You feel very good about yourself, right? So now when you feel good about yourself, you go out there, maybe you're meeting new people. How would you approach and how would you talk to them? Confidently, warmly, nicely, or you'll be like sitting in one corner and not talking to the other person?
No, absolutely confidently.
Absolutely. And now the way you are talking to the other person is also willing to listen to you because they see that confidence, they see that warmth in you. And now maybe their behavior and it impacts on you
Yeah,
as well. Right?
yeah,
So this is what image cycle is all about. So the way you groom yourself and you carry yourself and you keep yourself, it affects the way you think, feel, and you behave. And based on that, people, they either react to you or respond to you. Again, you now imagine when you're talking to the other person, and now the other person says, oh, you know what, there's another friend of mine, let me call that friend. Now that friend comes and like, she's an amazing person, I've been talking to her, oh my god, there's so much that we've related to. Now what happens is their response to your behavior, good behavior. Now when they're talking like that and bringing other people, now what is happening? Again, you're feeling good about yourself.
yeah,
So this again is a cycle.
yeah, yeah. Very
So it's
well
a very
said.
nice question that you asked. Good that you asked that about a mid circle cycle.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I got one more question. Again,
Yeah.
coming with respect to people. So there's something people say it's my personal style, my personal choice, my color preferences, and all of that. Okay. Now, my question is, you see some people, irrespective of their skin tone, a lot of people say, okay, I don't wear this color because it doesn't look good on my skin tone. I don't believe in that because I think
Yeah.
it's nothing to do with your skin tone. But people go by that logic, dark colors, light colors, or bright shades, or, only whites, only black. Do you think there's a correlation between your internal belief system, the emotions that you're going through, um, to the choices that you make, your color choices? Is there a correlation?
Yes, there is absolutely a correlation. There's a psychology behind every colors, So when we are recommending also what I do is if you're going to meet somebody, now blue is associated with trust.
Yeah,
White and black is associated with authority. All
yeah,
the dark colors also, right? So now some bright colors. Anyway, when you're feeling joyful, when you're feeling good about something, or you're just in a happy mood, you will find yourself picking up some happy colors and
yeah,
wearing it. The days you're not feeling up to the mark, you're feeling dull, you're not feeling very good, you will find yourself picking up dark colors and mostly black colors, brown colors, dark colors. So it
yeah,
has a vital role to play. Now, red is all about power. So there's a psychology behind it. Every color has a psychology, every color is communicating a kind of message.
yeah,
So the days you feel that, okay, I'm not feeling up to the mark, but I have to go and I have to be joyful. I have to greet people well, I have to meet them. So what I'll do is I'll anyway pick up a joyful color,
Mhm.
which will ultimately help my psychology, and it will help me also, because again, image cycle that we spoke about, the way you dress up impacts the way you feel about yourself, and you
Yes.
will not even realize when things change for you. Yeah, and there's one more point that you spoke about, that there are people who don't care, and like they'll wear whatever they want, and they'll say, okay, this is my personal color, personal choice, my personal style, I'm going to wear whatever. Nobody's stopping you. Nobody. Please wear whatever makes you feel confident. Please wear whatever makes you feel comfortable. But just keep one thing in mind. Is it appropriate for the occasion? What kind of role you're playing for the role? Is it appropriate? And the kind of goal that you want to achieve? Is it appropriate for the situation? If yes, please go ahead and wear it. If no, then you need to weigh what you're risking. Whether you want to come across as somebody, I don't care, or you want to come across as somebody, I do care about this occasion. I might have a different personal style, but for this occasion, this requires these kind of professionalism, or this requires this kind of clothes. I will wear that. I will not. So we have to actually weigh what you want to convey. Now, based on that, please go ahead and wear whatever you want to wear. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that because as you were speaking, something that came up to my mind. So I attend a lot of events, formal, informal, networking events, and all of that. Now, one of the things that comes up is when you meet so many people, you see either somebody is really well dressed or somebody always shows up in that very casual attire, irrespective of what the occasion is. And some of the responses you get to hear is look at Mark Zuckerberg. He shows up on a t shirt every time.
Yeah.
What they miss is the comparison point that they have and not matching up to the occasion that they are going for. A lot of people may think, oh, does that mean I invest in a lot of brands? Because that's what people confuse dressing up well to investing in a lot of branded clothes, showing up, those tags. But that's the confusion people have. People say,
Yeah.
I don't want to waste my money. I don't want to spend on luxury brands. I'm happy with wearing what I wear. So, I want you to really throw some light so that our listeners will be able to really understand what dressing up actually means.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking me that question, Nitu, because there have been so many times people tell me, what about Mark Zuckerberg? What about Steve Jobs? Right? But if you see, when there was a case going on Mark Zuckerberg, and he were to be presented in front of the court, did he come in his t-shirt and jeans or shorts? No. He came in a proper suit because that's appropriate, and that's where he had to project his authority as the owner, right? So now again, I will leave it to the people. You want to go casually and you want to say, I don't care about people, what they think about me. Absolutely up to you. No problem. But always remember there will be some kind of missed opportunities, right? Because no matter what you say, we keep saying, since childhood we have heard, don't judge a book by its cover. No
Yeah,
matter you say that, people will judge you because our brain is programmed like that. So when
yeah,
you look at somebody for the very first time, right, that's what first impressions are all about, right? Within like few seconds, 3 to 5 seconds, the first impressions are formed, and you won't even come to know that these are happening on a very subconscious level. Want to ask you, before explaining this concept of first impression and what halo and horn effect is. Now imagine you go to a restaurant, Nitu, and you ask for a piping hot bowl of soup, and what was served to you was just a normal, very warm or cold, soup. What would be your reaction? What would you say? Of course, you would want to look, and there's no waiter. The waiter has served, and the person is gone. Now, what will be your initial thing to do?
I'll be disappointed. I'll complain.
Yes, and to whom will you complain? So for that, you look around,
Yes,
isn't it? So when
yes,
you're looking around, who is that one person that you're looking for?
obviously either somebody who's dressed as the server or somebody who's dressed as the manager of the hotel.
Exactly. And mostly we would want to look around and see, okay, who looks like a manager here? And then we
Yes.
see, okay, somebody in a black suit or wearing a tie or looking very appropriate and professional, you will call that person. Because then you'll be like, okay, I think if I tell this person, he is going to listen to me and sort this problem out. So what happened is, just looking at the visuals, you're already assuming whether this person is credible or not.
Yeah.
Is this person trustworthy or not? Is this person going to help me or not? Right?
Yeah.
So that's what happens when you're going to meet somebody for the very first time. You always need to make sure that the first impressions that you're projecting needs to be on point, keeping the authenticity in mind. Because there are lot of people who know how to work around body language communication. They're trying to project somebody else. One
Yeah.
day, ultimately, the reality is going to come, right? So here, talking about first impression, as I mentioned, it takes only 3 to 5 seconds to be formed. It happens on a very subconscious level, right?
Mhm.
Now, looking at one positive aspect of other one person and drawing a whole personality about that positive personality, that's what halo effect is all about.
Mhm.
I'll explain it in a very simple manner. Imagine there's an interview at 10 o'clock in the morning and the interviewer is walking in at 9:50 to go into the room, and they see, okay, Taranjit is sitting there, she's already there, so she's way before time.
Yeah.
And now, not way before, but 10 minutes before time, she's there. Like, I entered and she's there. Now she enters. What she does is she knocks and say, may I please come in? I come in, I go in, and I say, oh, very good morning, sir. May I please take a seat here? And I take a seat. And maybe if the interviewer is extending hand for a handshake, I'm going to shake my hands and then I'm going to start with my conversation. Now, I already have created a first impression. And now, based on this positive first impression, now the interviewer must be thinking, oh my God, she's professional.
Yeah.
She was way before time. She is organized because I am carrying my file, I'm giving my trainer profile on my resume, and in a very spick and span manner, I'm sitting all composed. So now he's going to assume, okay, she must be very organized. She must be valuing time for her. Interview is very important, so all positive aspect in the other areas of life also they will
Yeah.
assume. So that's what halo effect is all about. Now imagine, now the interviewer is walking, Neetu is not there, and suddenly around 10:05 Neetu comes, and because she's late now, she's a little worried. Her body language is like that, right? When she goes inside, what happens is, Nitu has her file, but then somewhere she's shaking, she's not being able to address properly, she just enters and she's not being able to wish, and because right now she's emotionally going through a lot. Now what
Yeah.
happens is, the interviewer will assume she is not serious about her work, she is not professional, she does not know how to manage time. यहाँ पे ऐसा करिए, घर पे कैसा करती होगी? She's not organized at all. Now, based on few negative aspects, or one negative aspect, we are drawing a picture of the entire personality and the other areas of life. That's known as horn effect. Now, when
Yeah.
you're meeting somebody in a networking place and events, you don't get a chance to spend that kind of time with the other person to bond
Yeah.
and to actually justify it. So these impressions that you are creating are very important for you. Because again,
Yeah.
if you're going for a networking event, I'm sure you're only going there so that you can network with people and you want to be successful in life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And for being successful in life, I always keep on saying there are two major important things, right? First is getting a chance, and second is performing when you get a chance.
Beautifully said. Yeah.
Right? So, how will you get a chance? You will only get a chance through your first impressions.
Yeah.
And once that is done, you need to actually perform. You need to show how competent you are. It's not how just you look, but also what is your, how competent you are, because that also matters a lot, right? So,
Right.
a lot of
Yes.
people think that will tell you just how to show up, how to talk. No, it's also what knowledge you have and what kind of talent you
Yeah.
have and what work you can do. These both goes hand in hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, wonderfully shared, those details. And while you were talking, uh, there were so many people who, came through my mind. I was like, it's going to be so helpful for youngsters who are listening to this, the Gen Z, who either are too casual or either, so involved that they don't know where to draw that line of, okay, I can take a little pause, I can take a little breather and not be so formal. It helps
Yeah.
those in their 20s and 30s trying to figure out, find their foot in their identity creation because they're still in that phase. And also to those who are 40s and above, because at that stage you're like, this is already me, I've lived my life like this, but how can you bring that change? And how your overall behavior, including your presentation, your exterior, how you dress up, all of that, how it actually impacts your first impressions. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and what I think we did is we started with your inner self, right? How working on inner self actually impacts your exterior. And we also touched on how working on what you look like from the outside, not a beauty perspective, but a presentation perspective. How does that help you feel better from inside? Now, for somebody who is in that conflict where they don't have their inner self and their external self, aligned,
Hmm.
where do you think they should start?
Again, they have to start from within. They have to start with self awareness and self evaluation. Only then they will be able to align the outer self also, because everything starts internally, everything happens internally.
Thank
Yes.
you for sharing that, Dharanjeev. And I loved it that when I put the question across as to what should people first work on when there is a misalignment on the exterior or the interior, you said work on yourself first, on the inside. Until you start working within, it will not start reflecting the way it should. And just because you haven't worked on within doesn't mean you should not start something on the outside. You could make those little changes, understand why certain things have been your choices, question your choices as to, is this my choice or is it coming through societal pressure? And when you start questioning yourself from within, you'll be able to bring that change both inside and outside. What would be your advice for men and women? Two advice, that style tips or whatever you want to call.
Okay. So before talking about the tips, Neetu, there's one thing that we were just talking about right now about the inner self. Now, this one personal experience. When I say work on yourself, get to know yourself better, it's all coming from nowhere but my personal experience, right?
Yeah.
Um, my childhood was not that great, right? I lost my father at the age of 11, and I've just grown up studying. I've been studying. I came across as a very arrogant person because I would not speak to anybody, and people would think I was arrogant, but inside I had a lot of self doubt. I would Today, when I'm communicating right now, this is again my practice. I would
Yeah.
not be able to speak properly. I would not communicate with others. Now, when I joined aviation, there was a lot of transformation that happened. However, still, there was something missing within me, right? There was again a lot of self-doubt. I wouldn't feel comfortable going and talking to people. Yeah, I'm standing and making announcement in front of thousands of people. However, from within, I wouldn't feel that confident, though aviation helped me a lot. And then came a rock bottom time when I lost my brother in 2017, and that's when I lost myself also. What helped me come back and be what I'm today is me asking myself questions, me reflecting on the past, me learning from my mistakes, me investing that kind of time, right? So, when we talk about image management, or whenever you're talking about the tips, the very first tip I would like to give, be it a male or a female or anybody, uh, first is get to know yourself.
Yeah.
Get to know yourself, because there are so many times that we've been following what has been taught to us. Very good story I'll tell you. There's a girl, okay, so she notices her mother, so she wanted to fry the fish. So she notices her mother, she chops off the head and the tail, and she very inquisitively she goes and asks, Mama, may I ask you, why do you chop off the head and the tail? The mother said, she thought for a while and she said, oh, you know why? Because grandmama used to do that. And she was very inquisitive. She said, why did she do that? Like, what is the reason behind it? So she went in to the grandmother and said, Grandma, why do you chop off the tail and the head of the fish? She also thought for a while and she said, because my mother used to do it. So luckily, the great grandmother was there. So they went together. So even she took a while, and then she said, oh, you know why? Because my pan was small in size.
Mm.
So there have been so many times we've just been believing and we've been conditioned to believe. We never question why are we believing that. If you talk about your values, what are your values? What are the things that you stand by? What are the things that you will never stand by? Like you cannot appreciate those things because those things are wrong. What are the things? What are your beliefs? People don't know themselves.
Yeah.
So, the very first tip that I would like to give them is if you have to start with your transformation, you start by asking yourself questions. You don't need anybody, you have all the answers within you. Ask yourself questions, explore yourself, know why you like certain things, know why you don't like certain things. If you don't like certain things, what are the things? Reflect back. Why don't you like it? If you like something, why do you like it? Is it because you're conditioned to like it? Or is it because you actually believe in something? That's one tip. Second tip is start forgiving yourself. At times we become so overcritical with ourselves. All that negative self talk that we do is actually working against us, it's actually pulling us down. So stop this negative talk that you constantly do with yourself. You criticize yourself. That's something that you need to work on. Third major thing, everything starts from here, your mindset. Work on your mindset. And there's one thing that I always talk about. I saw this in one of the TED talks. So I go through a lot of TED videos and all. I get to learn a lot from them. So
Yeah.
a movie, is it made in one take? No, right? For
Mhm.
any movie to be on of the perfect frame and to come out perfectly, there are multiple takes that the actors have to take. The directors also have to guide them, right? So whenever you make a mistake, always think it's a missed take.
Very beautifully said. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a mistake. Yeah.
it's a mistake. It's okay. You have got another shot. Give yourself that shot. Try to do it because you are the actor in your life. And what else? This is your picture. Shoot it the number of times you want to. Take as many takes as you want. The only thing you're not allowed to do is stop or quit. Don't do that. Okay, I'll just go into the styling bit also. For men, I'll say what not to do is do not wear ripped jeans. It's out of fashion. It does not look good. It does not project good. People, one major mistake that a lot of people that you were talking about Louis Vuitton and other, do not be a brand showcast. Don't be showcasting brand because then you're unnecessarily attracting a lot of attention. Now depends on you. If you want that kind of attention, please go and do it, but don't do it for the professional space.
Yeah.
Keep it very light, and always think about the focal point. So when we talk about focal point, if you see here, what is the focal point? I want the viewers view to be here. So if you see, there's a brooch, there's a necklace, and there's a earring that I'm wearing. So no matter, whenever you're scanning a person, your attention needs to come back to the face.
Yes.
So right, so always create a focal point next to your face in a professional setting. This is for men and for women both. So women can work around the scarves, earrings, and don't wear anything flashy which will distract the person, starting from the nail pin to the kind of jewelry or the buckle that you have been wearing or the watch that you've been wearing. So, these are small little things that you need to take care of. And one more thing is, please see the shape of your body and wear clothes accordingly so that there's a little ease in a professional setting. You don't want to draw attention in the wrong places. These are the tips that I would like to give everyone. And if you want more, I can give more, but yeah.
Thanks, Taranjeet. I think you beautifully gave tips both for inner work and for something that everybody else can see on the outside. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise, for all the all the experiences that you've shared, the stories that you've shared, and great respect for you for the personal journey that you've shared. And like you said, it's the inner work that has helped you overcome every situation and bring out the best in you. So the more you work on yourself within is what it starts showing from the outside. And thank you so much for sharing everything. It was a pleasure to have you with us, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners have so much that they've taken away today.
Thank you so much, Nitu, first having me here and then beautifully asking me so many questions. Is because the way you led the questions, you asked the questions, I had so many things to share also. So thank you for beautifully doing that and thank you for having me here.
Thanks, Ranjeet. What an insightful discussion that was. As we wrap up this episode, I want to leave you with one thought. You're not just what you wear, you're a story, a journey, a voice far beyond the surface others see. And while the world may tell you to look the part, I hope today reminded you to feel the part. Because confidence isn't stitched into a blazer or tucked behind a hairstyle. It's built in the quiet choices you make every day to show up as your own self. If this episode made you reflect, smile, or even shift a little bit, share it with someone who needs to hear it too. Until next time, keep exploring what lies beneath. This is Neetu, and you're listening to the Iceberg Theory podcast.